Hey guys, welcome to this video tutorial. In this step-by-step guide, we will demonstrate how to install and start using MariaDB on Ubuntu 22.04. Now, as you all know, MariaDB is one of the most widely used open source relational database management systems that is used by beginners as well as seasoned developers who are working on production workloads. Now, before moving forward, ensure that you have an instance of Ubuntu 22.04. So with us here, we already have an instance with a sudo user configured, and we have deployed this on cherryservers.com. Now, Cherry Servers is a renowned cloud infrastructure services provider that offers private and secure cloud services to both small and medium businesses all over the world. Okay, now to get started, the first step is to ensure that your system is up to date. So we're going to refresh our local package index, and to do so, we're going to run the command sudo apt update. So press enter, and this should take just about a few seconds, as you can see. All right. Now the next step is to install MariaDB server. Now, there are two ways you can do this. You can install directly from Ubuntu repository by running the command sudo apt install MariaDB server MariaDB client. Okay, so this installs the server package and this installs the client package. However, when you run this command, you'll only get MariaDB 10.6, which is not the latest version. All right. So if you don't mind so much about not having the latest version, you can install this. However, we're going to demonstrate another way of getting the latest version, and this is by installing MariaDB from MariaDB repository. Okay. Now, to do so, first, you need to import the GPG signing key. All right, so here I have the command for doing exactly that. So the first step is to import the GPG signing key. So I'll copy this command and I'll paste it here and press enter. Okay, so here we can see that the GPG key has been imported successfully. All right. Okay, so the next step is to add the MariaDB repository on your server instance. So I'm going to copy this command. Okay, I'll paste it there. Okay, so this has added the MariaDB repository to your system. So as you can see, this is MariaDB 10.11. Okay, so now this is the latest LTS released by MariaDB at the time of shooting this video. Okay, so that has been added. All right, so now the next step is to update the local package index. So I'm going to run the command sudo apt update. Okay, then finally, to install MariaDB, you're going to run the command sudo apt install MariaDB server MariaDB client. Then hit enter. So you can see this will install a number of packages and libraries. Now to proceed with the installation, press Y and hit enter. So this installs the latest version of MariaDB alongside other associated packages and dependencies. Okay. So as you can see, the installation is underway and is almost complete. So just be a little bit patient. So you might come across this pending kernel upgrade. So just press enter. Okay, so here we can see that we have some daemons using outdated licenses. So here just accept the default. Okay, so we are almost there, so just be a little bit patient, and there we go. So the installation is complete. Now you can verify that MariaDB has been installed by checking its version using this command, MariaDB _ then version. Great. So as you can see from the output, we have installed MariaDB 10.11, which at the time of making this video is the latest stable release. All right, so in the next step, we're going to see how you can start and enable MariaDB. Now, by default, the MariaDB engine automatically starts upon installation, and we can verify this by running the command sudo systemctl status MariaDB and hit enter. So as you can see from the command output, you can see that the service is active and running. Okay, so if for whatever reason MariaDB is not running in your case, you can start it by running the command sudo systemctl start MariaDB like that, then press enter. But in our case, you can see that nothing will happen because already MariaDB is up and running. Okay, so the other thing we can consider is to enable MariaDB on system startup or system reboot. Okay, so to do so, you can run the command sudo systemctl enable MariaDB, then hit enter. Okay, so you'll get the following output. So this ensures that your database server will always run in case the system is rebooted or in case it is started. That is assuming that the system had been powered off. Okay, so now in our next step, we're going to see how to configure MariaDB. Now, MariaDB ships with default settings that are considered weak and present some security challenges which can be exploited by hackers, leading to data breaches. Now, you don't want that to happen. So in this step, we're going to go a step further and harden or demonstrate how you can harden your MariaDB instance. And to do so, you're going to run the following script. So on your command, run sudo, then run this script. So MySQL secure installation. Okay, so this command will walk you through a number of prompts that will require you to make changes to the security options, which will secure your database server. So here I'm going to press enter. So the first prompt requires you to enter the current password for root. So this is the database root user, and it's not supposed to be confused with the system root user. So by default, a fresh installation does not have a current password already configured. So here you're going to press enter for none. Okay, so in the next step, you're going to be required to switch to the Unix socket authentication. Now, this is a passwordless authentication that allows you to log in as a database root user without a password. So this is discouraged, and we're going to press N for no. Okay, so that we can set a database root password. Okay, so now here we are presented with a prompt to secure the root account with a password. So here we're going to provide a password. So I'm going to hit yes, Y for yes, then provide the password. Then I'm going to confirm it. Okay, so the remaining prompts will ask you a few questions. So here we can see that you can see on the screen that by default MariaDB installation has an anonymous user. This allows anyone to log into the database server without having to have a user account created for them, and this user is only intended for testing purposes. Okay, and as you can see in the last line, we are recommended to remove the user before moving into a production environment. So here we're going to press yes, Y for yes, to remove an anonymous user. Okay, then the next step asks us to disallow remote root login, to which you're going to press Y for yes. Okay, so this ensures that someone cannot guess the root password and brute force into the database server. So press Y and hit enter. So in the next step, we are required to remove the test database and access to it. Okay, so yet again, press Y for yes and hit enter. Then finally here, you are being required to reload the privilege tables. Okay, so this ensures that all the changes made so far will take effect immediately. So finally, we're going to press Y for yes and hit enter. Great, so as you can see, we have completed all the steps required to add a protection layer to a MariaDB installation. Okay. Right, so now in the next step, we are going to see how to configure a password-authenticated administrative user that is going to be undertaking administrative tasks on the database server. In this section, we are going to create a password-authenticated administrative user that is going to have all the administrative privileges on any database in the database server. So to do so, first we're going to log into the MariaDB database using the database root. So on the terminal, run the command sudo MariaDB -u to specify the root, and then -p. So press enter. Then you'll be prompted for a password. So here you're going to provide the database root password. Hit enter, and this takes us to the MariaDB shell. So first we're going to create a regular user, and to do so we're going to use the syntax, the following SQL syntax: create user. So in this case, we're going to create a user called admin user. For demonstration purposes, of course, you can give your user any name that you prefer. Then we are creating the user on our machine. So here you're going to specify localhost, then identified by, then here you're going to provide the password to the user. So here for demonstration purposes, once more we're going to just provide an arbitrary password. So we're going to give it a secret password like that. Of course, you're going to, in your case, you're going to provide a strong password. Okay, then you're going to terminate with a semicolon. All right, so hit enter. Okay, so you can see the user has been created. Right, so the next step is to grant all the privileges to the user. So this in effect assigns all the database root users permissions to the user. So to do so, use the SQL syntax, grant all privileges on. So here you specify the wildcard notation like that, and in a short while we're going to see what it does. So to admin user at localhost. So terminate it with a semicolon and hit enter. Alright, so now the wildcard notation, as you can see here, implies that the user now has all the permissions to execute any task on any database in the database server. Alright, so to apply all the changes that we've made, so you're going to flash the privileges as shown. Alright, and finally exit the MariaDB shell using the exit command, like that. Good. So now at this point we have successfully created an administrative user. So now let's test this user, and to do so we are going to test the user, we are going to log in as the administrative user. Okay. All right, so to do so, run the command sudo MariaDB -u to specify the user. So the user we've created is admin user, which is now the administrative user, then -p. Okay, so you'll be prompted to provide a password. So I'm going to provide the password. I'll hit enter, and as you can see, we have successfully logged in as the administrative user. So now we can perform any tasks. For example, we can display the databases, the existing databases. So to do so, run the command show databases. So here are our 4 default databases. Okay, we can create a new database. So we can run the query create database, let's say testdb. Okay, you can see the database has been created. So to confirm this, let's run show databases again. And at the bottom row, you can see we have our test database. All right. Okay, so you can apply all the changes without restarting or reloading. Once again, by running the command flash privileges. Okay. Now, to list all the existing users in your database engine, you can run the query select host, user from MySQL user table. Okay, so let's see the users. All right, so here are all the users on the local host. So at the bottom row, you can see the admin user. This is the administrative user that you've just created. All right. Here at the bottom, you can see the database root user, and for the second and the third row, you can see that these are the default users that come with MariaDB. All right. So now let's quit the shell. So just going to run quit and hit enter. All right, so far in this section we have successfully logged in as the administrative user. We have created a test database, and we have listed all the existing user in a database engine. So in our final step, we are going to see the steps you can take to configure MariaDB for optimal performance. So see you in the next step. In this section, we're going to see how you can configure MariaDB for optimal performance. Now, the default settings for MariaDB only allow it to work best on desktop systems, mostly because of their resource utilization. However, if you intend to deploy MariaDB on a production environment, then you need to take some additional steps to configure it in order to handle huge workloads. Now we're going to see how you can configure some parameters to make the most of your database server. One of those parameters is the InnoDB buffer pool size. Okay, so as you all know, InnoDB is a default storage engine for MariaDB. Okay, and it can be configured to provide high reliability and performance to the database server. Now, to do this, first of all, we are going to get the value of the InnoDB that you're going to assign to our server. Now, the most commonly followed practice is to set the value to 70% of the available RAM. However, this is not optimal for systems with with a huge RAM size. So now what we're going to do, we are going to log in back to our database server using our admin user. So -u admin user -p. Okay, then I'm going to provide the password. Okay, so here we're back into the MariaDB shell. Now we're going to run an SQL query in order to get the value of the InnoDB to provide. So here on the screen, you can see the query that you're supposed to run. Now I'm going to highlight this and copy it. Okay, then I'm going to paste it on the MariaDB shell. Then I'll hit enter. So here you can see that the value, the recommended value is 1 GB. Okay. Now we're going to exit the MariaDB shell. And we are back on our terminal. All right. Now we're going to set this value on our configuration file. Okay, now the path to the configuration file is, so we're going to use the vim editor, sudo vim etc MySQL mariadb.conf.d. Then look out for this file 50 server.cnf, then hit enter. Okay, so on your vim editor, look for this parameter. Normally it's commented. Okay, so you're going to comment it out. So I'm going to remove the hash. So as we saw earlier, the recommended size is 1 GB. So we are going to change this from 8 to 1 GB. So we're going to save the changes. So I'll press escape, :, WQ and exclamation mark, then hit enter. Now to save the changes, simply run the command sudo systemctl restart MariaDB. All right, as simple as that. Okay, so we have set the optimal value for the InnoDB. Okay, now the other thing you can do is to disable swappiness. Now swap is an area on your hard drive that is used when the RAM is just about to get depleted. Now the downside to swapping is that when it occurs, your disk IO gets utilized, and this considerably slows down your server. Okay, and sometimes if the right measures are not taken, your server could crash. So now to avoid that, we need to disable the swappiness. Okay, and to do that on your terminal, simply run the command sudo sys ctl -w vm.swappiness. Then we assign it the value of 0 and hit enter. Okay, Great, so you can see Swappiness has been disabled. All right. Now the other thing you can do is to specify the maximum number of connections, the maximum number of concurrent connections that can be initiated on your database server. Normally, having too many connections at the same time can result in high CPU load and memory utilization. So for small websites, the number of recommended connections usually ranges between 300 and 500, while for high traffic websites, this can be anything between 1,000 to 1,500 connections. So now we need to set the maximum number, or rather we need to set the max connections value. Okay, and to do so, we are going to get back to our shell, MariaDB shell. Okay, so MariaDB -u admin user -p I'll provide my password. Great, so we are back. Now what you can do is we're going to set the max connections. So in this example, we're going to set the max connections to 500 concurrent connections. So we're going to run the query. Set global max connections is equals to 500. Then we terminate it with a semicolon, then hit enter. Great, and now I'm going to save the changes. So flash privileges, and exit. We'll exit from the database server. All right. Okay, so the other way you can enhance the performance of your database server is to disable the MariaDB DNS lookups. So usually when a new connection is initiated, MariaDB performs a DNS lookup to resolve the client's IP address. Now this sometimes can cause delays, especially when there's an issue with the DNS server or when there's an invalid DNS configuration that is detected. Now to disable the DNS lookups, so what you can do, you're going to go back to our configuration file. So just going to scroll up. Yes, so we're back to our configuration file. Okay, so you're going to search. So let's go back to the start of the file. So to do so, press escape, then 1, capital G. You're going to search for a parameter called skip name. Skip name resolve. All right, so this is a parameter I should look out for. So I'm going to uncomment this. So this will disable the DNS lookups. Okay, so ensure that you uncomment this. Okay, then I'm going to save the changes. So once again, restart MariaDB. So sudo systemctl restart MariaDB for the changes to come to effect. All right, so moving on, the other crucial parameter you can include is the query cache size. Now this is used to cache all repeated queries or repetitive queries bearing the same data. Now this value ordinarily shouldn't exceed 64 megabytes for small websites. Okay, and also setting this value to gigabytes even for high traffic websites is unrecommended and can considerably degrade the performance of the database. So once again, let's go back to our configuration file. So head over to the end of the file. Okay, so we're going to add this line at the end of the file. Okay, so I'm going to specify query cache size is equals to 64 megabytes, like that. Okay, then once again I'm going to save this. Okay, and once again I'm going to restart the database server. All right, so the other thing you can do is to set idle connections value. Now sometimes idle connections can really use up resources, leading to a degraded database performance. Okay, so now what you can do, we can probe for the idled connections. So to do so, we can run the command sudo. So let me clear the screen. We can run the command sudo MySQL admin process list -u root -p, then we search for sleep. Okay, so we're going to enter the password. All right, so here we see we don't get any any output. Okay, so this shows that we don't have any idle connections. Okay, all right, so in any case, in case you found a value, you can use a directive that can close or interrupt the idle connections. Okay, so for example, we can go back to our configuration file. So for example, if the command yielded some output, okay, you can close the idle connections. So for example, what you can do, you can specify wait timeout and give it the value of 60 seconds. Okay, so this means that after 60 seconds all the idle connections will be closed. All right, okay, now the other thing you can do is to enable slow query logs. So this can boost performance of your database server by logging the queries that take ages to execute. All right, now this makes it easier to troubleshoot problems that are giving rise to this issue. So to enable the logs for slow queries, you can add these lines. So on your command line, you can type slow query -log is equals to 1, then slow query log file, then you specify the value or the path of the slow log file. So var lib MySQL -slow.log, and then finally long query time is equals to 1. All right, so the first parameter here enables the query of slow logs. Okay, now the second parameter notifies the database server of the file where the slow log queries will be exported to. So this is the path that the log file, this is the path of the file where that will contain the logs of the slow queries. And finally, the last parameter here specifies the maximum threshold in seconds for a database query beyond which it is considered a slow query. So if a query exceeds 1 second, it is considered a slow query. So we're going to save the changes. And finally, going to restart the database server for all the changes to take effect. Okay, and that's just about it in terms of optimizing the server performance. And this brings us to the end of this video. It was quite a long one, and we do hope that by now you have learned how to successfully install and use MariaDB on Ubuntu 22.04. And beyond that, you have learned how to optimize your server for best performance. So if you found this video insightful, please leave a like, share, and subscribe to our channel. It will go a long way in supporting us to continue making such videos. So thank you for your time, thank you for coming this long, and see you in the next video.